My name is Ian Brody, and 3 months ago I thought I had everything figured out. 37 years old, decent job as a software security consultant, married to a woman who still turned heads when she walked into a room. Mia had this way of lighting up spaces, making everyone feel like they were part of something special. I should have known that kind of magnetism comes with a price. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday morning in our downtown apartment. Mia stood at the kitchen counter, scrolling through her phone with that secretive smile she'd been wearing more often lately. Her social media consulting business had been booming, or so she claimed. Late nights, weekend calls, mysterious client meetings that always seemed to happen at upscale hotels. "Another emergency?" I asked, nodding toward her phone as she typed furiously. "Just Lexi being dramatic about her Instagram campaign," she said without looking up. "You know how influencers are." I knew how Lexi was, sure. Mia's best friend since college, all fake eyelashes and manufactured drama. But this felt different. Mia's fingers moved with purpose, not the casual tapping of someone dealing with a friend's crisis. "Coffee?" I offered, already pouring her usual. "Thanks, babe." She accepted the mug but kept typing. "I might be late tonight. Big presentation for a new client." "Anyone I know?" For just a second, her typing stopped. Probably not. Tech startup. Very hush-hush. I worked in tech security. I knew every major startup in the city and half the minor ones, but I let it slide, like I'd been letting a lot of things slide lately. My job at SecureFlow Solutions wasn't glamorous, but it paid well enough to cover our downtown rent and Mia's shopping habits. I spent my days finding vulnerabilities in other people's systems, plugging holes before the wrong people could exploit them. The irony wasn't lost on me later. That evening, Mia came home at 11:30, smelling like expensive cologne that definitely wasn't mine. Her explanation about the presentation was detailed and enthusiastic, which should have been reassuring. Instead, it felt rehearsed. "How'd it go?" I asked from the couch where I'd been reading. "Amazing. Really promising client. Could be huge for my business." She kicked off her heels and headed straight for the bedroom. "I'm exhausted, though. Mind if I just crash?" She was asleep, or pretending to be, by the time I joined her 20 minutes later. The pattern continued for weeks. Late nights, mysterious calls, that same secretive smile. Mia's friend circle started acting weird around me too. Lexi would cut conversations short when I entered a room. Tara, her yoga instructor friend, kept making comments about modern relationships and evolved thinking that made my skin crawl. The breaking point came during one of Mia's brunches. I'd stopped by to drop off her forgotten wallet and overheard Lexi talking to the group. "I'm just saying some people are more open-minded about these things," Lexi was saying. "Like, why should one person meet all your needs?" "Totally," agreed Tara. "Emotional monogamy is so limiting." Chloe, the quieter one of the group, looked uncomfortable. "I don't know. Seems like that only works if both people agree to it." "Well, obviously," Lexi laughed, "but sometimes you have to ease people into new concepts." I handed Mia her wallet and left without saying much, but Chloe's words stuck with me. Both people agreed to it. Something told me Mia hadn't run her new philosophy by me first. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My gym buddy Nate had been warning me for months, though I'd brushed off his comments as cynicism. Nate worked construction and had a dim view of what he called fancy people problems. "Software guys always get the short end," he'd say between sets. "You make good money, you're reliable, you're safe, but safe gets boring." Mia's not like that, I'd insist. They're all like that when the right opportunity comes along. I started paying closer attention. Mia's phone was always face down now. She'd changed her passcode from our anniversary to something I didn't recognize. Her laptop stayed locked, even at home. For someone in social media, She'd become remarkably private about her digital life. The hotel room photo changed everything. Mia claimed she'd lost her phone during a client meeting. I found it wedged between our couch cushions an hour later. The screen lit up with a text notification from someone labeled E in her contacts. Miss you already. Can't wait for next time. Below it was a photo. Silk sheets, champagne bottle, 2 glasses. Definitely not the yoga studio where Mia claimed she'd spent the afternoon. I stared at that photo for a long time, my mind racing through explanations that might make sense. Maybe it was a client meeting at a hotel. Maybe the champagne was for celebrating a successful campaign. Maybe E was short for something innocent. But I knew better. You don't spend 15 years in security without developing instincts about when systems have been compromised. My marriage had been hacked, and I'd been too trusting to notice the signs. The smart thing would have been to confront her immediately, ask questions, demand answers, try to salvage whatever was left. Instead, I did what I always did when I found a vulnerability. I investigated. Mia's cloud backup was still synced to our shared laptop, a detail she'd apparently forgotten. Her photos, messages, and documents were all there, waiting for someone with the right access and wrong intentions. What I found made my stomach turn. Months of messages with E, whose full name was Eric Manson. Mia's ex-fiancé from 5 years ago. The one she'd claimed was ancient history when we first started dating. The messages told a different story. They'd reconnected 6 months ago, starting with innocent, catching-up conversations that quickly turned intimate. Eric was some kind of crypto investor now, driving a BMW and living in a downtown penthouse. Everything I wasn't. But it wasn't just the affair that made me see red. It was the things they said about me. He's so predictable, Mia had written. Same routine every day, work, gym, home, repeat. Sounds boring as hell, Eric replied. Remember when you used to be fun? I'm still fun, just trapped in suburban mediocrity. Not for long. Once my next deal closes, you won't need his security blanket anymore. Security blanket. That's what 15 years of building a life together had meant to her. I spent the next hour downloading everything. Photos, messages, financial records. Mia had been using our joint account to fund her secret life, transferring money to Eric for what she called investment opportunities. $25,000 over 6 months, gone to fund my own humiliation. By the time Mia came home that night, I had everything I needed. She found her phone and thanked me sweetly, kissing my cheek like the devoted wife she'd never actually been. How was yoga? I asked. Great. Really worked out some tension. She smiled, that secretive smile. I feel like a new person. I smiled back and said nothing. If she wanted to be a new person, I could help with that. I could help her become someone she'd never planned to be, someone with consequences. 3 days later, I made my move. I'd spent those days planning, preparing, and most importantly, making copies of everything. The messages, the photos, the financial transfers, all of it organized into neat digital folders with dates and timestamps. I waited until Friday evening. Mia was getting ready for another client dinner when I walked into our bedroom with printed copies of her conversations with Eric. We need to talk, I said, spreading the papers across our bed. Mia froze, mascara wand halfway to her lashes. In the mirror, I watched her face cycle through surprise, panic, and finally, defiance. You went through my phone? She demanded, spinning around to face me. Your phone was syncing to our laptop. Amazing how technology works when you understand it. She glanced at the papers, and I saw her calculating. How much did I know? How much could she deny? How much could she turn back on me? This isn't what it looks like, she started. Really? Because it looks like you've been having an affair with Eric for 6 months, using our money to fund it, and calling me a boring security blanket behind my back. Her shoulders sagged for just a moment, then straightened with renewed determination. You want to know why? Because you are boring, Ian. When's the last time we did anything spontaneous? When's the last time you surprised me? When's the last time you gave me a chance to? You've been too busy planning your exit strategy. It's not an exit strategy, it's complicated. $25,000 complicated? That hit home. Mia's face flushed red. Those were investments. Eric has connections you could never dream of. Eric's a con artist who's using you to get to my money. You don't know anything about Eric. I know he's married. The words hung in the air between us. Mia's mouth opened, then closed. In all her careful planning, she'd apparently missed that detail. He's getting divorced, she said weakly. His wife posted anniversary photos last month. 15 years of marriage, 2 kids. Real nice family you're helping to destroy. Mia sat down hard on the bed, crushing the printed messages beneath her. You don't understand. Eric and I have history. We never got proper closure. You're getting closure with my credit card. It's our money. Was. Past tense. I've frozen all the accounts, changed all the passwords, moved my direct deposit to a new bank. Her eyes widened. You can't do that. I can, and I did. Amazing what you can accomplish when you're not sneaking around hotel rooms. Mia stood up, and for a moment I thought she might hit me. Instead, she grabbed her purse and headed for the door. Where are you going? Somewhere I'm appreciated. Give Eric my regards. Tell him the investment fund is permanently closed. She slammed the door hard enough to rattle the windows. I sat on the bed, surrounded by evidence of my wife's betrayal, and felt something cold settle in my chest. Not sadness exactly, something harder and more useful. Mia didn't come home that night, or the next. When she finally returned Sunday evening, she was different, harder, more calculating. I've been thinking, she announced, setting her overnight bag by the door. Maybe we rushed into things. Maybe we both need space to figure out what we want. Space to figure out if Eric's wife is really getting divorced? This isn't about Eric. Everything's been about Eric for 6 months. She sat across from me at our kitchen table, hands folded like she was conducting a business meeting. I think we should separate. Temporarily. Just to get some perspective. Perspective on what? On whether this marriage is working for either of us. I almost laughed. You mean whether you can afford to leave me for a married con artist? Stop calling him that. What should I call the guy who's been feeding you lines about investment opportunities while spending your money on hotel rooms? Mia's phone buzzed. She glanced at it automatically, and I caught the slight smile that crossed her face. Eric, checking in on his investment. I'll stay at Lexi's for a while, she said. Give us both time to think. Take all the time you need. But understand something, Mia. I'm done being your safety net. You want to jump? Jump. But don't expect me to catch you when you fall. She left that night with 2 suitcases and a box of her jewelry. I watched from the window as Eric's BMW pulled up to collect her. He didn't get out of the car, didn't help with her bags, just sat there like a taxi driver while my wife loaded her life into his trunk. I should have felt devastated. Instead, I felt free. Monday morning brought the first shot in what I was starting to think of as a war. My boss, Jennifer Walsh, called me into her office with a grim expression. We have a problem, she said, sliding a tablet across her desk. Someone leaked the Morrison project specs to TechFlow Industries. Morrison was our biggest client, a financial services company whose security overhaul we'd been working on for 8 months. The specs contained detailed vulnerability assessments, system architecture, and implementation timelines. In the wrong hands, it was a roadmap for corporate espionage. The leak came from your login credentials, Jennifer continued. My stomach dropped. That's impossible. I haven't shared those specs with anyone. The metadata says otherwise. Email sent from your account at 11:47 p.m. last Thursday. Thursday night. The night I'd confronted Mia about Eric. I'd been home all evening, but my laptop had been open, syncing her cloud data. Someone else used my account, I said. I can prove I was home Thursday night. Can you? Because TechFlow's CEO is Eric Manson, and according to office gossip, you've been having some personal issues with someone named Eric. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. Mia had access to our laptop. She knew my work passwords. I'd never hidden them from her. While I was confronting her about the affair, she'd been planning her retaliation. This is a setup, I said. My wife is having an affair with Eric Manson. She's trying to destroy my career. Jennifer's expression didn't change. That's quite an accusation. I have proof of the affair. Messages, photos, financial records. What I have is proof that confidential client data was leaked from your account to our competitor. I'm suspending you pending a full investigation. I left the office that morning with my personal items in a cardboard box and a growing realization of just how far Mia was willing to go. She'd started the battle and made the first move, but she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd forgotten that I spent my career thinking like a criminal, finding weaknesses, exploiting vulnerabilities, and she'd just shown me exactly how vulnerable she really was. The suspension gave me something I hadn't had in months: time and motivation. While Mia was playing house with Eric, I was building a case that would destroy them both. My first stop was Chloe Martinez, the quiet one from Mia's friend group. She'd always seemed uncomfortable with the others' gossip and drama, and her comment about both people agreeing had stuck with me. I found her at the coffee shop where she worked part-time between freelance graphic design jobs. She looked surprised to see me, then guilty. Ian, hi. How are you holding up? That depends. How much did you know? Chloe glanced around the nearly empty shop, then poured herself a coffee and sat across from me. More than I wanted to. Less than I should have said. When did it start? Officially? About 6 months ago. But Mia's been talking about Eric for years. How successful he is. How things might have been different if they hadn't broken up. Why didn't you tell me? What was I supposed to say? Hey, Ian, your wife fantasizes about her ex-fiancé? I thought it was just talk. When did you realize it wasn't? Chloe stirred her coffee slowly, organizing her thoughts. The weekend trip to Chicago. Mia said it was for a client, but Lexi let slip that Eric was there too. Same hotel, same dates. That was 4 months ago. I know. I should have said something then. What else should I know? Chloe looked genuinely pained. The money stuff started recently. Mia's been bragging about Eric's investment opportunities, how he's going to make her rich. She said you were too conservative, too scared to take real risks. Risks with our money. She made it sound like you were holding her back, like you didn't believe in her potential. I thought about the $25,000 gone to fund Eric's lifestyle while Mia played the role of successful entrepreneur. There's something else, Chloe said quietly. Last week, after you confronted her, Mia came to Lexi's place crying. But she wasn't sad crying, she was angry crying. She kept saying you'd ruined everything, that you were going to pay for humiliating her. Humiliating her? She said you'd made her look stupid in front of Eric, like she couldn't handle her own husband. The leaked Morrison specs made more sense now. It wasn't just retaliation. It was Mia proving to Eric that she could be useful, that she could deliver real value to his schemes. Are you going to tell the others we talked? I asked. Are you going to cause trouble? I'm going to cause exactly as much trouble as they've caused me. Chloe nodded slowly. Then no, I won't tell them. But Ian, be careful. Mia's not the person you married anymore. Eric's changed her, and not for the better. My next stop was the gym, where Nate was working through his usual routine of heavy weights and heavier sarcasm. Well, well, he said, racking his barbell. Look who finally pulled his head out of the sand. You were right, I admitted. I'm always right. About what specifically? I gave him the abbreviated version. The affair, the money, the sabotage at work. Nate listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker with each detail. That's low, even for a cheating wife, he said finally. Going after your career crosses a line. I need a favor. Name it. Eric works out somewhere in the city. Probably an upscale place, lots of mirrors and protein smoothies. Think you could find out where? Nate grinned. Construction guys know people everywhere. Give me a day. That evening, I got a call from an unknown number. When I answered, a woman's voice said, "Is this Ian Brody?" Depends who's asking. My name is Patricia Manson. I believe you know my husband. Eric's wife. My chest tightened. Mrs. Manson, I'm sorry. I didn't know about your family when this started. When what started? The affair? You know about Mia? I know about all of them. Eric's been cheating for years. Your wife is just the latest. Then why haven't you left him? Because I'm not stupid. I've been documenting everything, building a case for divorce that'll leave him with nothing. Your wife is actually helping me by being so careless with evidence. Evidence? Hotel receipts, restaurant charges, gifts purchased with joint credit cards. Eric's not as smart as he thinks he is. What do you want from me? Cooperation. You help me destroy Eric in divorce court. I help you expose what they did to your career. How can you help with that? Eric's been bragging about having inside information on Morrison Financial. He's been pitching TechFlow's services based on vulnerabilities that weren't public knowledge. I have recordings. My suspension suddenly looked a lot more temporary. What kind of cooperation are you looking for? The kind where Eric and your wife both get exactly what they deserve. We talked for another 20 minutes, sharing information and coordinating strategies. Patricia Manson was nothing like the naive victim I'd imagined. She was calculating, methodical, and absolutely ruthless. Eric had picked the wrong woman to betray. Wednesday morning brought news from Nate. Eric worked out at Elite Fitness, a boutique gym in the financial district. Expensive membership, personal trainers, clientele full of investment bankers and crypto millionaires. Place is all glass and chrome, Nate reported. Very C and B scene. Your boy Eric's there every morning at 7, like clockwork. What's he like? Exactly what you'd expect. Designer workout clothes, spends more time posing than lifting, hits on anything in yoga pants. Hits on them? Oh yeah. Real charmer. The staff all know he's married, but he keeps trying anyway. More evidence for Patricia's divorce case. Eric wasn't just a cheater, he was a serial cheater, and a sloppy one. Thursday evening, Mia called for the first time since she'd moved out. We need to talk about practical things, she said, without preamble. Bills, accounts, the apartment lease. What about them? I want my half of everything. Your half of what? The money you stole? The trust you destroyed? The career you sabotaged? I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. How's Eric's investment fund working out? Silence on the other end, then, you're being vindictive. I'm being accurate. There's a difference. I want to come get more of my things this weekend. Fine. But I'll be there, and I'll be recording everything for security purposes. You can't record me in my own home. Former home. And yes, I can. It's called protecting my assets from further theft. She hung up on me, but I'd made my point. The naive husband she'd been manipulating was gone, replaced by someone who understood the game she was playing. Saturday morning, Mia arrived with Lexi and Tara as backup. They swept through the apartment like a hostile acquisition team, packing boxes and making snide comments about my paranoia and controlling behavior. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, ostensibly working but actually recording everything through the webcam. Let them perform for the camera. Every word was potential evidence. This is so sad, Lexi announced, loud enough for me to hear. When someone can't let go, they just get bitter and mean. Some people never learn to evolve, Tara added. They get stuck in old patterns. Mia said nothing, but I caught her looking at me several times with an expression I couldn't quite read. Guilt, regret, or just calculation, wondering what her next move should be. As they prepared to leave, Mia approached the table where I sat. "This doesn't have to be ugly," she said quietly. "It's already ugly. You made sure of that." "I made mistakes. But so did you." "What mistakes did I make, Mia?" "You stopped seeing me. Really seeing me. I became invisible in my own marriage." "So you decided to become visible in someone else's?" "That's not how it happened." "No? Then how did it happen?" She was quiet for a long moment. "I don't expect you to understand. Try me. You'll just use it against me. I'm not the one who's been using things against people." Mia glanced toward the door where Lexi and Tara waited with boxes. "Eric makes me feel alive again. Like I matter. You mattered to me for 15 years. No, your routine mattered. Your comfortable life mattered. I was just part of the furniture. And now you're part of Eric's furniture instead. Eric sees my potential. Eric sees your bank account." She flinched, as if I'd slapped her. "You really think that's all I'm worth?" "I think Eric's married, broke, and using you to fund his lifestyle while his wife builds a case to take everything he has left." The color drained from Mia's face. "What are you talking about?" "Ask Eric about Patricia's divorce lawyer. Ask him about the recordings she's been making. Ask him why he really needs your money." Mia stared at me for several seconds, then turned and walked away without another word. I watched through the window as she climbed into Eric's BMW, her friends loading boxes into the trunk. As they drove away, my phone buzzed with a text from Patricia Manson. "Phase 1 complete. Ready for Phase 2? I looked around the apartment, half empty now, but somehow feeling more like home than it had in months. "Ready," I typed back. The real war was about to begin. Patricia Manson and I met at a downtown restaurant the following Tuesday. She was nothing like I'd expected. Mid-40s, professionally dressed, with the kind of quiet confidence that comes from having survived worse situations than this one. "Eric's getting desperate," she said without preamble. "His crypto investments went bad 6 months ago. He's been using other people's money to maintain his lifestyle. Other people like Mia. And several others. I've identified at least 3 women he's been stringing along with promises of investment returns." "How long have you known?" "About the financial problems? 2 months. About the affairs? Years." She sipped her coffee calmly. "I stayed because of the children, and because I knew eventually he'd hang himself with enough rope." "What changed?" "You did. When he started targeting your wife's marriage specifically to get access to your work information, it became criminal. Corporate espionage, theft of trade secrets." "You have proof?" Patricia slid a tablet across the table. Eric recorded himself bragging about the Morrison deal. He thought it was clever, having inside information on security vulnerabilities. I listened to the recording with growing amazement. Eric's voice, clearly identifiable, describing details about Morrison Financial that only someone with access to our internal reports could know. "He's incriminating himself," I said. "He's incriminating both of them. Mia's voice is on there too, explaining how she accessed your work files." The recording was devastating. Not only did it prove the corporate espionage, it revealed the calculated nature of their scheme. This wasn't a crime of passion, it was premeditated theft. "What do you want in return for this?" I asked. "Eric destroyed financially and professionally. I want him to lose everything, the same way he's been destroying other people's lives. And Mia? That's your department. But Ian, don't underestimate her. She's not just Eric's victim, she's his partner." That afternoon, I called Jennifer Walsh and requested a meeting. She agreed reluctantly, probably expecting more denials and excuses. "I have new evidence about the Morrison leak," I said, placing the tablet on her desk. Jennifer listened to the recording twice, her expression growing more serious with each repetition. "Where did you get this?" "Eric Manson's wife. She's been documenting his criminal activities for a divorce case." "This is admissible?" "Recorded in their home with her consent," And there's more. Financial records showing he used stolen information to pitch TechFlow's services to Morrison's competitors. Jennifer was quiet for a long moment. If this is authentic, it changes everything. It's authentic, and it proves I was set up. It proves more than that. It proves industrial espionage and conspiracy. I need to call our lawyers. I left that meeting with my suspension lifted and a promise that SecureFlow would pursue criminal charges against both Eric and Mia. The company's reputation had been damaged by the leak, and they wanted justice. My phone rang as I walked to my car. Nate's voice was excited. "Your boy Eric just had a very public meltdown at Elite Fitness." What happened? Apparently his credit card got declined for his personal training session, in front of about 20 people. Started yelling about banking errors and temporary cash flow issues. Patricia's divorce proceedings were apparently moving faster than expected. "It gets better," Nate continued. "He tried to hit on some investment banker's wife while he was there. The husband showed up and had security throw Eric out. Permanently? Banned for life. They don't tolerate that kind of behavior from members." Eric's carefully constructed image was crumbling. Without money to maintain his lifestyle, his true character was becoming obvious to everyone around him. That evening, Chloe called with more intelligence. "Mia's freaking out," she reported. "She showed up at Lexi's place this afternoon crying about money problems and legal issues." "What kind of legal issues?" She wouldn't say exactly, but she kept talking about lawyers and criminal charges. Lexi's getting scared about being associated with the whole mess. "What about Tara?" "Tara's already distancing herself. Apparently she heard rumors about Eric being married and decided she doesn't want any part of it." Mia's support network was dissolving as quickly as her relationship with Eric. When the people around you realize you're toxic, isolation follows quickly. Friday morning brought the news I'd been waiting for. Jennifer Walsh called with an update from the company's legal team. "The district attorney's office is filing charges," she said. "Corporate espionage, theft of trade secrets, conspiracy to commit fraud. Both Eric Manson and your wife are named defendants." "When?" "Warrants are being issued today. They'll probably be arrested by Monday." "What about my job?" "You're fully reinstated, with back pay and a formal apology. The company's also considering a civil suit for damages." I hung up feeling vindicated but not satisfied. Legal justice was important, but it wasn't personal enough. Mia and Eric had tried to destroy my life systematically. They deserved the same treatment in return. That afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. When I answered, Eric's voice was tight with barely controlled rage. "We need to talk," he said. "I don't think we do. You're making a mistake, Brody. This doesn't have to get ugly." "It's already ugly. You made sure of that when you stole my work files." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you don't. How's the crypto business, Eric? Still making those big returns for investors?" Silence then. "Meet me tonight, Riverside Park, 9 o'clock. "Why would I do that?" "Because if you don't, things are going to get much worse for you." He hung up before I could respond. I stared at the phone, wondering if Eric was desperate enough to try something physical. Then I called Patricia. "He wants to meet tonight," I told her. "Sounds like he's planning something stupid. He is desperate. The bank froze his accounts this morning, and 2 of his other victims filed police reports." "Other victims?" "The women he's been scamming. Turns out your wife wasn't his only source of funding." "Should I meet with him?" "Only if you're recording it, and only in a public place with witnesses. Riverside Park isn't exactly private." "It is at 9 o'clock on a Friday night. Choose somewhere else, somewhere with security cameras." We settled on the lobby of Eric's apartment building. Plenty of cameras, doorman on duty, multiple exits. If he wanted to make threats, he could do it on the record. I arrived 15 minutes early and positioned myself where the security cameras would capture everything. Eric showed up exactly on time, looking like he hadn't slept in days. "You're destroying innocent people," he said without preamble. "I'm exposing guilty people. There's a difference." Mia loves you. She made a mistake, but she loves you. Mia loves your money. Or she did, before you ran out of it. Eric's jaw tightened. You don't understand the situation. I understand it perfectly. You're a con artist who targeted my wife to get access to my work files. Now you're facing criminal charges and trying to blame everyone else. I never meant for it to go this far. What did you mean for it to go? Just a little information. Help my business compete. Nothing that would really hurt anyone. You tried to destroy my career. That was Mia's idea. She said you deserved it for being controlling. I almost laughed. Even now, he was trying to shift blame. Eric, you're going to prison. Your wife's going to take everything you have left. Your reputation is finished. The only question is whether you go down alone or try to drag Mia with you. What do you want? I want you to confess everything to the district attorney. Full cooperation, complete honesty about who did what and when. And if I do that, then maybe Mia gets a lighter sentence. Maybe you both get a chance to rebuild your lives after you pay for what you've done. Eric was quiet for a long moment, staring at the floor. She really did love you, you know, before all this started. No, she didn't. She loved the security I provided. When she thought she found better security with you, she jumped ship. That's not love, Eric. That's just business. He left without another word, shoulders slumped in defeat. I watched him walk away, then checked my phone to make sure the recording app had captured everything. Monday morning, the arrests made local news. Eric Manson and Mia Brody, charged with corporate espionage and conspiracy. The reporter described it as a sophisticated scheme to steal trade secrets for competitive advantage. I turned off the TV and got ready for work. Phase 2 was complete, but I wasn't finished yet. The arrests were just the beginning. While Eric and Mia dealt with lawyers and bail hearings, I focused on dismantling the rest of their lives with surgical precision. Mia's social media consulting business collapsed within days of her arrest. Clients fled when the story hit the news, and her professional reputation became toxic overnight. Lexi and Tara both posted carefully worded statements on Instagram, distancing themselves from recent events and poor choices by former friends. Eric's situation was even worse. TechFlow Industries fired him immediately and sued for damages. His crypto investment fund was revealed to be a pyramid scheme that had defrauded dozens of investors. The SEC opened an investigation that would likely result in additional criminal charges. But I wanted more than professional destruction. I wanted them to feel the same personal devastation they'd inflicted on me. Patricia Manson proved to be an invaluable ally in this effort. Her divorce proceedings moved with ruthless efficiency, aided by the mountain of evidence she'd collected over the years. The judge froze all marital assets pending trial, she reported during one of our weekly coffee meetings. Eric's living in a studio apartment and working at a call center. What about the BMW? Repossessed last week. He's taking the bus now. The image of Eric Manson, former crypto millionaire, riding public transportation to his minimum wage job, was deeply satisfying. How are the kids handling it? I asked. Better than expected. They're old enough to understand that their father made bad choices. Mostly, they're relieved the chaos is over. Patricia had also been busy gathering information about Mia's current situation. She's staying in a motel near the airport, she said. Couldn't afford anything better after her business collapsed. Eric's not helping with expenses. He can barely cover his own rent. Any contact between them? Less and less. Apparently, they're blaming each other for how badly things went. The partnership that had seemed so strong when they were destroying my life was crumbling under pressure. Neither of them had expected to face real consequences for their actions. My own life was improving dramatically. SecureFlow had promoted me to senior consultant and given me a substantial raise. The company's handling of the corporate espionage case had actually enhanced their reputation, proving they took security seriously. I'd also started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but it felt good to remember what healthy relationships looked like. Women who were interested in conversation, not just financial security. Women who didn't need to sneak around or lie about their activities. Chloe had become an unexpected friend through all of this. She'd cut ties with Lexi and Tara after realizing how toxic that social circle had become. "I should have warned you sooner," she said during one of our coffee meetings. "I knew Mia was trouble, but I didn't want to get involved in drama." "You couldn't have changed anything," I assured her. "Mia made her choices. She's been calling me, asking for money, a place to stay, help finding work." "What do you tell her?" "That I can't help someone who refuses to take responsibility for their actions." "She's still blaming everyone else?" "Constantly. You were controlling, Eric was manipulative, her friends abandoned her, the legal system is unfair. Never once has she admitted that she made bad choices." This was exactly what I'd expected. Mia had always been good at playing the victim when faced with consequences for her behavior. The criminal trial was scheduled for 6 months later, but the civil lawsuits were moving faster. Morrison Financial was suing both Eric and Mia for damages related to the security breach. Secure Flow was pursuing their own lawsuit for harm to their reputation and client relationships. Eric's lawyer had approached the prosecutor about a plea deal, but Mia was apparently still fighting the charges. Her lawyer was arguing that she'd been manipulated by Eric and didn't understand the legal implications of her actions. "She's trying to play the naive wife card," Patricia explained. "Claims Eric convinced her it was just harmless corporate intelligence gathering." "Will that work?" "Not with the recordings we have. She clearly understood what they were doing was illegal. The recordings were devastating to both defendants. Eric bragging about having inside information, Mia explaining how she'd accessed my work files, both of them laughing about my paranoia and controlling behavior. 3 months after the arrests, I got an unexpected call. Mia's voice was barely recognizable, thin, desperate, defeated. "Ian, please, I need help." "What kind of help?" "Money. Just enough for rent and food. I'll pay you back when this is all over." "When what's all over?" "The legal stuff. Once I'm cleared, I can rebuild my business." I almost hung up, but curiosity kept me on the line. "Cleared of what?" "You're on tape admitting to corporate espionage." That was taken out of context. Eric manipulated me into saying things that sounded worse than they were. "Mia, you stole confidential client files from my laptop and gave them to a competitor. There's no context that makes that legal. I made mistakes, but I don't deserve to lose everything." "You didn't just make mistakes. You declared war on our marriage, my career, and my life. Now you're facing the consequences. Please, Ian. I'm desperate. You should have thought about that before you decided I was disposable." I hung up and blocked her number. Whatever sympathy I might have felt was overwhelmed by memories of her laughing about my boring life while planning to destroy it. 2 weeks later, Chloe called with news. "Mia took a plea deal," she said. 3 years probation, community service, and full restitution to the victims. "What about Eric?" "He's going to prison, 2 years, plus financial penalties that'll keep him broke for the rest of his life." "How's Mia taking it?" "Not well. She apparently had a breakdown in court when she realized Eric wasn't going to take care of her anymore." The woman who'd been so confident about her ability to manipulate men had finally encountered a situation where charm and tears weren't enough. 6 months later, I ran into Mia at a grocery store. She looked terrible, thin, exhausted, wearing clothes that had seen better days. She was working as a cashier at a discount retailer, a far cry from her former life as a social media consultant. She saw me before I could change lanes, and for a moment our eyes met. I saw recognition, shame, and something that might have been regret. "Ian," she said quietly. "Mia. How are you?" "Good. Really good, actually." She nodded, not asking for details. "I heard you got promoted. Among other things. I'm glad. You deserved better than what I gave you." It was the first time she'd ever acknowledged responsibility for her actions. Too little, too late, but something. Take care of yourself, Mia. I left without buying anything, not wanting to prolong the encounter. In the parking lot, I sat in my car for a few minutes, processing the interaction. She looked broken, completely defeated. The confident, manipulative woman who'd destroyed our marriage was gone, replaced by someone who could barely make eye contact. I should have felt satisfied. This was exactly the outcome I'd worked toward, Mia facing real consequences for her choices, losing everything she'd valued about her life. Instead, I felt empty. The revenge was complete, but it hadn't filled the hole her betrayal had left. It had just created a different kind of emptiness. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah, the woman I'd been dating for the past month. "Dinner tonight? There's a new restaurant I want to try." I looked at the message and smiled. Sarah was everything Mia hadn't been. Honest, independent, genuinely interested in building something together rather than just taking what she needed. "Sounds perfect," I texted back. "Pick you up at 7. As I drove home, I realized the revenge was over. Mia and Eric had lost everything that mattered to them: their relationship, their careers, their reputations, their financial security, all gone. But more importantly, I'd found something better. A life without lies, without manipulation, without the constant fear that the person closest to me was planning my destruction. The war was over. And for the first time in 2 years, I was genuinely happy about the future. That night, over dinner with Sarah, I made a decision. I was done looking backward, done analyzing what had gone wrong with Mia, done calculating the damage she'd caused, done measuring my revenge against her crimes. It was time to build something new, something honest, something that couldn't be destroyed by betrayal because it was founded on trust instead of convenience. Mia had taught me what I didn't want in a relationship. Now it was time to discover what I did want. The revenge was complete. The healing could finally begin.